I know to a lot of people I'm on the crazy side when I say I think that Terence Crawford can do it. And I had thoughts about it even before Canelo got into the ring with William Scull. That bullshit ass fight. By the way, the DAZN copyrighted my video for that, my original video, so I had to edit it somewhat and re-upload it. But long story short, they sent me 2 copyright strikes, which is why I had to stop doing videos for like a week after doing like 32 videos in 1 week. So anyway, we back on the saddle, getting out there, getting this content out. So the fight now is rumored to possibly be taking place not on September the 13th, but later on in the month, maybe the end of September. And it could also possibly be moving to Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Anyway, I'm T-Street Controversy with Fight Feud 360. Canelo, I've always said that he's a 160-pounder in an opportune 168-pound division. I never considered him a real 168-pounder. It's part of the reason why I feel he never wanted no problems with David Benavidez. Now, if this was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe Canelo would have fought David Benavidez. But at this stage in his career, Canelo being what? Canelo is 34 now, right? Or is he 35? Let me check here. 34. But see, that's a long 34. You know, Canelo been boxing since I'm talking about some professionally since what, 14? So he's been around for some time. That's not the type of 34, you know, of these younger generations these days. That's an old school 34. You know what I mean? Look, you know, he's won 63 fights, first of all. I remember, when did I first come in and watch my first Canelo fight? My first Canelo fight was, I believe it was here. Was this on HBO? Because I know it was in Mexico. No, when there was no streaming back then. When did I come in? Could have been. It might have been Ryan Rhodes. I think this is when I came in. The first Canelo fight I've ever seen. It was on HBO and it was in Mexico. Yep, it was this one. Ryan Rhodes. Did I see Matthew Hatton? I don't remember if I watched this fight or not. I don't remember if I look at this card. By the way, you got Daniel Ponce de Leon against eight. Oh yeah, I watched this card. I don't remember the Hatton fight though. But anyway, Canelo's been around for a long. We're talking about 2011. You know, YouTube wasn't even YouTube. There was no streaming, like, you know, to watch overseas fights. You had to work hard, Jack. Hard. So look at all these names, you know, from Kermit Citron, Alfonso Gomez, Shane Mosley, Jose Zito Lopez, Austin Trout, Mayweather, Angulo, Lara, Kirkland. And as you can see, like, it's just, you know, you can't knock the resume. You can't knock the resume. But once again, I just never seen him as a legitimate 168-pounder. For example, Rocky Fielding, he tested the waters, was able to beat up Rocky Fielding. But let's face it, Rocky Fielding was all Rocky Fielding was size. 6'3", you know, 168 pounds, just size. He was never really known to be a solid boxer, and I covered many Rocky Fielding fights. A solid boxer, but never really a legitimate threat. He was a domestic level fighter, basically. Callum Smith was his rival. Danny Jacobs back at 160, Sergey Kovalev. Well, there's a lot going on with that Sergey Kovalev win right there. And I'm not trying to discount it, because at the end of the day, he still beat a 175-pounder. But Kovalev had a lot of stuff going on outside the ring. Alcoholic, tail end of his career, you know, but Canelo got the win. And he got the stoppage at that. It wasn't easy, but he got it. Now, Callum Smith, this was the best win, in my opinion, for him at 168 pounds. He beat up his arm, just outboxed him. You got to give him credit there. You know, now this was like a big, for me, and on my side, I was like, that's a big feat for Canelo to have accomplished, to beat Callum Smith, and he did. Billy Joe Saunders, that's a fight that could have took place at 160 pounds. I'm not confident at Billy Joe Saunders at 168. I just think that weight put him there, in age. Caleb Plant has grown on me, but Caleb Plant was never a guy that was really high on until recently. Because all he was going off of was beating Jose Uzcategui. And I never looked at Jose Uzcategui as a boogeyman. A lot of people did at the time, but I didn't. Especially when I watched him versus Matvey Korobov years and years ago. I just never saw him as being like a boogeyman type fighter. But nonetheless, that was Caleb Plant's biggest win at that time in his career. So the Caleb Plant fight was considered somewhat of a competitive fight for Canelo, but I really didn't see it. Dimitri Bivol, he stepped up to 175 pounds again. A bridge too far. Dimitri Bivol used his size and length to outbox him. He just outboxed him. Didn't overcommit to anything, stayed disciplined, and just outboxed him. The Golovkin third fight came too late, and Golovkin, well, I guess it's a shame he's going to be one of those fighters that's going to retire without actually having a last fight. That's what it's looking like. But he was never the same after that first Canelo fight when he got that paycheck. He got real new on people. If you don't know, go research. The Jamel Charlo fight, 54 pounder, moving up. Munguia, he was running through divisions fast. That's a fight that could have also happened at 160. Munguia's fate still up for debate at 168 right now, despite the fact that he got his win over Bruno Saras. He looked like a different fighter. Edgar Berlanga is just delusional. If you heard this shit, he was talking yesterday at the press conference. By the way, it's Friday evening now, May the 16th. The press conference for him taking on Hamza Shiraz in July was yesterday, and basically he was talking some old bullshit that, in fact, I'm going to play that clip.
We want that
Listen
rematch.
to this bullshit.
The reason why I started talking about a rematch was really because the Mexicans is asking for it, bro. Like, I'm in Tampa. There's a whole bunch of Mexicans in Plant City. They're asking for the rematch. His own people's asking for the rematch. So if the people's asking for it, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it. I think it was a big fight. I know that, New York was shut down completely. There was block parties. Every bar in New York was shut down. You know what I'm saying? Puerto Rico was shut down. So that's a good sign of a great fight. You know what I'm saying? I gave him 12 rounds. Hard. We went in there and with the least amount of experience. You know what I'm saying? I went in there. All the fighters he fought had way more experience than me. Billy Joe Saunders, Floyd Mayweather, all these guys, you know what I'm saying? And I went in there with no experience. But I know I'm that dude, you know what I'm saying? I know what I got. I got that charisma. I got that starting power. I look good. And I fight good.
Talk about the losers of Grandeur. Remember Canelo almost took his fucking head off? Knocked the shit out of him. Hey, listen, but at the same time, you got to be confident in boxing these days. But I don't want to see no Canelo versus Berlanga too. So, for example, if Canelo was to win against Crawford, the names that are in the running is obviously Hamza Shiraz if he beats Berlanga, Chris Eubank Jr., are names that are circling around. And then Canelo is still talking Bivol. But to be very honest, I don't think that Canelo wants any parts of Bivol. As far as Terence Crawford is concerned, well, we don't know what he's doing. And by the way, Crawford is significantly older than Canelo. Crawford's going to be 38 by the time they step into the ring. When's Terence Crawford's birthday? Canelo's 34. Crawford's birthday is in October, I believe. September the 28th. So basically, the month that he steps into the ring against Canelo, he's going to be 38 years old, but Crawford's 38 is different. Kind of like Canelo, in contrasting ways. Canelo got all the miles on him. Canelo never really took any real beatings, but he's been training his whole life. This is a guy who don't go on year and 2 year layoffs. Canelo, he's busy. And as far as Crawford's concerned, he hasn't been active, and that's gonna go against him. And he's moving up in weight without taking any type of tune-up fight, nothing. Now, he struggled against Israil Madrimov. Here's how I explain it. How I explain it from my side. Israil Madrimov, he went out there to box and try to mix it up with Israil Madrimov and ended up winning by, barely, I'm not going to say barely, scratching by, how I'm going to say it that way, against Israil Madrimov. He won the boxing match. Virgil Ortiz went out there, Jr. went out there to put blunt force trauma on Israil Madrimov. 2 different fights. So you could say that Virgil Ortiz looked better, but Virgil Ortiz and Crawford both fought different fights. Now, still, that's the last fight you have to go off from Crawford. We know he can box, but he was a bit flat-footed in there as well. First fight at 154 pounds. So he's going up to 168 pounds. Now, Crawford's been known outside the ring to be a strong fighter. If you watch a lot of interviews from fighters who have sparred with him, worked with him, they'll say like, yo, dude is outrageously strong, you know, and he can wrestle. So automatically right there, he's got some core to him. But that's a tall feat going up from 147 to 168 in just a little over 2 years, because he fought Spence. What was that? As you can see, the end of July of 2023. They fight in September, him and Canelo. That's going to be 2 years jumping up. Listen, that's 154, 160, and then 168. That's kind of crazy. And the key to winning to him is he's going to have to outbox Canelo, outworking, and be able to take the shots that Canelo's going to give him, because we've seen him be buzzed. We've seen him get buzzed by Kavalauskas, and I'm just off the top of my head recently. As far back as DAZN. So, and Yorkis Gamboa, these are smaller weight classes. So, but at the same time, I just got a feeling he can do it. Now, I've been saying that Canelo had barely beat William Scull, outside the fact that I said Crawford barely beat, but then I changed it and said, you know, he scraped by. As far as Canelo's concerned, that William Scull, if you go look at the punch stats and the scorecards, no matter how you slice it, he barely won. That was a nasty fight, Canelo's worst performance of his career, and the punch stats were the worst, some of the worst of all time, top 5 of all time. So I get it. People think because, you know, I'm the black guy, unfortunately, YouTube has been contaminated like that, is that I'm going to pick Terence Crawford, you know, because of race. Race don't got nothing to do with it. And remember, I used to identify as Chicano like last year. I was just Mexican not even 7 months ago. So y'all can't play that with me, man. You can't play that with me. The fight's going to be taking place in September. As you can see, there's various different venues that they're looking at. I think this is a Vegas fight, and if any fight should be a stadium, it should be a stadium fight. I mean, listen, the best 2 pound-for-pound fighters of our era, you know, post Floyd Mayweather, are going to be stepping into the ring. And at one point in time, remember, this was possibly going to be Errol Spence if Errol Spence would have beat Crawford. That was a real possibility. That fight, Canelo Spence was floating around for years. So we're going to be providing full coverage for this fight. I am going to try to get there. I can't say because, you know, it's the beginning of the school year. I'm a dad, you know, so we're going to try to figure something out. With that being said, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and T Street Controversy with Fight View 360. Oh, I didn't even talk about how Netflix and Dana White, Netflix may be promoting or broadcasting, and Dana White's supposed to be promoting, but I guess you guys already know that. I guess in my next video, we'll talk about what that all means. And also, I'm expecting, I'm expecting that, September, they got until maybe the second week of June or so before I'm going to assume they're going to do a press tour. You know, maybe, I won't be surprised if they even go to Omaha, Mexico, New York, LA. Will not be surprised. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.